Hey everybody, just a quick heads up before we get into the episode this week. My 4th annual 24-hour Extra Life charity stream to raise money for the Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton is going down Friday, November 3rd and Saturday, November 4th. Unlike previous years where I've done 24 straight hours, I'm too old for that now. We're splitting it into two 12-hour shifts. I'll be going from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday and Saturday. I hope you can swing by. It'll all be on Twitch, twitch.tv/memberthegame. And if you donate $20 or more to Extra Life, not only will you get a tax receipt, but you'll be entered into a prize draw to either win a video game of your choice or some Remember the Game swag, and we'll be auctioning off a chance to be my guest on an episode of Remember the Game in 2024 as well. So we're hoping to raise $25,000 this year. We cracked over 20 last year. I got a good feeling about it. Friday, November 3rd, Saturday, November 4th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain at twitch.tv/memberthegame. All right, good enough. Let's get into the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 270, and it's Halloween season, so we got to get freaky. And not like that. For that, you got to check out my secret OnlyFans. We need to talk freaky games. And admittedly, my plan this week was to cover Eternal Darkness for the GameCube. But I got so busy with Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder over the weekend, I still haven't finished Eternal Darkness. So that's practically a lock to be next week's episode. It'll be November 1st. It's still Halloween-ish. But that meant I needed a freaky game for this week. And if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, you might know that I'm not good with scary stuff. I think the technical term is a pussy. I think I am a pussy is the word. So we've covered most of the scary games that I've played. I thought about doing Resident Evil 3. We haven't done that one yet. But then I remembered a few weeks ago, I asked if anyone else ever played the Addams Family growing up, because my little brother and I used to rent this game all the time, and it's actually not horrible. It controls pretty horrible, sure. It's definitely NES tough, but there's a great concept there. And a bunch of people said they did, so fuck yeah, let's talk Gomez and Friends this week. I think the SNES and Genesis versions are pretty close to the NES one, just with better graphics. I've only played the NES version, so that's what I'm going to focus on. If you never played it, it's a platforming game. You control Gomez, and you basically have to rescue the rest of the Addams family who are hidden around their mansion. It's a platformer. There's some puzzle solving in it. You've got a small inventory to work with. It doesn't control well. Gomez slides fucking everywhere. It's tough as fuck. But if you accept that it controls like a mid-NES game, it's pretty okay. It's very inventive. It looks decent. It's hard as hell. I never came even remotely close to beating it. But when I launched Remember the Game, I wanted to talk about the games I grew up playing back in the day, and well, that list is getting very short, hence why I'm talking about games that I've played for the first time a lot more frequently lately. This was one of my childhood favorites. I don't know if I'd go as far as to call it a hidden gem, but it's definitely a hidden game. It's a hidden stone, and it fits the Halloween season, so why not? I'm going solo this week. It was a last-minute decision, again, due to my inability to finish Eternal Darkness in time for the show, but I have a lot to say about this, and I can guarantee you another episode of the Rich Creamery podcast mediocrity you've come to expect from Remember the Game. And we'll get there in just a minute, because speaking of Rich Creamery mediocrity, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun! I felt like my mouth was full of spit for that whole 4 minutes, and I just didn't have a chance to So anyway, if you if you're new to the podcast, please don't leave. Welcome to the show, and consider this your warning. Our intros are kind of long, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff, and fortunately for you, your podcast app probably controls better than this video game did, so you can skip the intro if you want to by just sliding your phone up about 30 minutes. But I recommend sticking around. Listen to the intro. We're going to talk video games and stuff. It's a really good time. Got to get my plugs out of the way. It's how we keep the bills on. I already mentioned it off the top. My 24-hour stream is November 3rd and 4th. Donations is the link to donate is open now. You can find it it at rememberthegamepodcast.com. We're giving away stuff to people that donate. It's good fucking times. Other than that, we have merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, posters, all kinds of stuff, rocking incredible art designed by my man Joe from 4545creative.com. I am wearing my Remember the Game hoodie right now. And you can find that, you already said it. You can find that at rememberthegamepodcast.com. If you're interested, great way to support the show. It fucks me up when I change my plugs. And of course, if you don't want to do clothes, I get it. It's winter. Who needs clothes, right? You can always just support us on the old Patreon box. We are finally available on Spotify. You can listen to every Patreon episode right there on Spotify. So much easier to use than that fucking app. We drop up to 4 extra podcasts a week. Every Monday, Mark McHugh and I do Purple Monkey Dishwasher. It's our weekly Simpsons podcast. Every Tuesday, I do The Rambling Idiot. I talk about my comedy career, TV, movies, sports, pretty well whatever's on my mind. Every Friday, it's Game Patch, where I drop all the biggest news in modern video games, let you know what I think, give you some sales picks, etc. And Expansion Pass goes live every Thursday, and that's a different gaming show each week. We look back at characters, consoles, franchises, genres. We do rankings. There's comedy episodes where there's a mountain of spoiler-free modern game reviews over there. This past week, it was expansion. My mouth is very salivy today. What the fuck? This past week, it was Expansion Pass 183. And it was probably one of the most anticipated modern game reviews I've ever done. Starfield. I kept it spoiler-free like I do with most of my modern game reviews. And I went for a little over an hour talking about how I like it. I think it's a good game. But why I think it has a few major flaws that are going to keep it from ever reaching the lofty heights some of Bethesda's best, like Fallout 3 and Skyrim, got to. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, my spoiler-free Starfield review. Simon Russell wrote in and said, I'm approaching the end of the main quest now. I really have to brute force it as I just want it done. I'm at 105 hours, so the game has done something right, I guess. Yet I still feel very underwhelmed. I get that. I will say that while I like the ending of the main quest, and we'll get more into that, I do think it overstays its welcome a little bit. I do think there's a little too much. You're going out collecting stuff to wrap up the game, and I feel like that portion of it goes on a little bit too long. But I think what it might just be is, like Simon said, it gets to the point where you've played so much of it. And I do think some of the side quests and stuff are more interesting than the main quest, that after, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours, you're like, okay, I'm ready to put a fork in this. And then it's like, here's one more quest. Here's one more quest. And you're like, no more fucking quests. Let's just finish this goddamn game. And that's now available in our archives. And this week it's Expansion Pass 184. And I don't know what we're talking about. It's the final expansion pass of the month, which means our Patreons get to pick the topic, and they are voting right now. So I'm recording this a day early. I'm recording this on Monday. I actually have no idea what we're talking about, but it'll be something video gamey, I promise. So again, subscriptions start at just $3 a month. You get new podcasts every week, ad-free, instant access to hundreds. I added it up the other day. There's over 500 bonus podcasts on our Patreon now. It's insane. You get instant access to all of those, plus access to the Remember the Game Discord, the chance to vote in our Patreon poll every month, the ability to submit comments to be read on our shows. You can DM with me, and you even get a shout out to get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons, Midnight Rexter, John Larson, Dustin. It says John Larson twice. John, did you sign up twice? I have to look that up. Ryan McLean and Manly Stew. I really hope Manly Stew means your name is Stew and you consider yourself manly, and not that you are a stew made of men. Because if you are a stew made of men, you're just full of like hair and spit, and it's fucking, and dry skin. And it's fucking gross. Ugh. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a John Larson and then a John and a John. We have John Larson and John, and it must have added the Larson again on my sheet. I apologize, John, whose last name is presumably not Larson. But thank you all. Thank you. There, that was a horrible round of shout outs. Thank you all so much for the support, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/Remember the Game. Don't forget, we donate 5% of that income to the Stollery Children's Hospital as part of my 24-hour stream, and we offer annual subs that'll save you your 12th month's fees. And finally, to top it all up, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Remember the Game, and now I'm on Cameo. I don't know how the fuck I got on there. Cameo.com/AdamBlank. Videos are like $15 or something. I'll roast somebody, say hi to somebody, make fun of somebody, whatever you want. Hit me up over there. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. And our first blower this week wrote in with a comment very similar to, dude, I must have gotten a dozen of these. John C500 said, wow, what a week. How are you enjoying Spider-Man and Mario, mate? I'm about a third of the way through Super Mario, or is it SM Super Mario or Spider-Man? I assume Spider-Man. I'm about a third of the way through Spider-Man at the moment, trying to savor every little detail without rushing through it too fast. Oh, I'll be buying Mario whenever I've got the Platinum Trophy. Looking forward to a likely expansion pass on both. Yeah, must Spider-Man. A bunch of you wrote in asking Adam, how I just imagine y'all like grabbing me by the collar of my shirt and like just shaking me. How are you liking Mario and Spider-Man? I spent a vast majority of my weekend playing both of these games. That's why we're not covering Eternal Darkness this week. They're both fucking awesome. They're both almost certainly going to be on my short list for Game of the Year. Loving them both. I'm going to drop full reviews of both on Expansion Pass probably in the next month or so as I finish them up. I'm going to 100% Mario like I always do, and I can't guarantee 100% Spider-Man because with a lot of those types of games, I'm having fun for the first 20 hours, and I'm like, I'm doing everything. And then after a while, I'm like, I'm sick of looking for collectibles. I'm just going to beat the game. But as of now, I'm adoring both of them. They're both fucking sick. I highly recommend picking them both up. I will say, going into October 20th, I was more excited for Spider-Man, but I thought Mario would be awesome as well. And after the weekend of playing them, I still really, really like both. I think I like Mario a little bit more. I was just figured Mario was going to be the classic 2D, like we've been there and done that. They really nailed Mario. It's going to go down as probably a top 5 Mario game for me of all time. It is so much fun. So for all of you that wrote in asking, I'm loving both of them, and you'll be getting reviews on Expansion Pass as I finish them, which will be in the coming weeks. And one of the best days of gaming we've ever had. And people have been asking me, Sonic, are you going to play Sonic Superstars? And the answer is yes, but not till I'm done Mario and Spider-Man. And then eventually I will. Because I want to play it, but it's not going to be as good as these two are. Oh my God, these games are good. What a fucking year for games. My God, kids. If you can't find at least one new game that you really liked this year, then maybe you need a new hobby. Because this year has been just ridiculous. Fill up my mouth with farts said, hey Adam, just wondering if you have any other nerdy hobbies that may drive your lady crazy. For me, it is magic cards. They can just take over all the free space as you try and sort and build decks, and sometimes my wife gets driven nuts by them. How do you control your hobbies that may expand outside of their designated areas? Love you, bro. Keep doing what you do. Thank you, Philip. I really like to read. I was posting about that the other day. That doesn't bother Shaylee because I keep my books on my nightstand. I've really gotten into Lego. I got back into Lego. Actually, a bunch of the listeners, I still don't know who the fuck was behind it, but some listeners got me. There's like a Lego set that's just Venom's head during the pandemic, and I built it, loved it, and it just completely reignited my love of those stupid little blocks. And if you've ever watched one of my live streams or anything, my back of my office is just full of Lego sets. I've had to take some apart. My Millennium Falcon is downstairs on the bottom shelf of our coffee table because I can't fit it up here. I think maybe that one irritates Shaylee a little bit, but I don't know where else to put it. Those are probably my two biggest hobbies, reading and Lego. And then I play chess. That doesn't really bother. And then I still genuinely consider video games my other hobby. So I'm in a pretty good spot. Most of my hobbies are fairly contained. I don't think Shaylee would like it if she was stepping on Lego bricks, but I don't want a chance stepping on the Lego bricks, so she's safe because I'm not doing it. So other than that, I think I keep them pretty centralized in this little stink box of an office of mine. I tried playing Magic in high school, and I thought it was a really cool game, and then I played like 4 matches against people, got my ass kicked, and was like, fuck this, I'm out. My brother's big into Magic. I gave up because I wasn't good. What does Bart say? No, Homer. What's Homer say? You tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson here is never try. That's me with Magic cards. Turtles Love Pizza Yes, they do. Said, greetings and salutations. You've sat on a lot of fences over the years. Is there a particular type you recommend? I'm looking to get mine replaced. It could really use a second opinion. Thank you. Yeah, I am a notorious fence sitter when it comes to every kind of topic. I would recommend not getting the white picket fence with the pointy tops. Get something that is flush along the top because when you sit on it, you will thank me. Oh, and bring a change of pants. And if you're wondering why, when it happens, you'll know. Shout out to when he gets that reference. Guy Incognito said, greetings, good man. Might I trouble you for a drink? With Halloween right around the corner and another hot dog asking you to rank chocolate bars, I'm curious, what 5-cent candies are the best, most overrated, and hidden gem in your mind? Mine would have to be dinosaurs are the best. Marshmallow bananas are overrated, and blue whales are hidden gems. That's a good question. Swedish berries or fuzzy peaches? Oh, I almost said fuzzy pickles. Fuck the Earthbound guy. Swedish berries and fuzzy peaches are the two best 5-cent candies. And I will not debate this. They are the best ones. I will agree that the bananas are kind of overrated. I love bananas, but not those bananas. Also, I think those frogs are a little overrated. The ones that are green on top with the white marshmallow on the bottom. I can eat like one, and then I'm like, I don't need any more of these. And then if we're talking hidden gem, it's Swedish berries. Nobody ever talks about Swedish berries, and that's like my favorite candy. And it fucking pisses me off that they don't get more respect. They look nice. They're nice and red with those little bumps on the top. And that unique sweetness they have to them is just, oh my God. Go out. Just stop this right now. Go get some Swedish berries and then send me a message and say, God damn it. You're right. Those Swedish, they know they're berries. Best 5-cent candy. Fuck, I haven't had those forever. I could go for some Swedish berries. And fuzzy peaches are just a staple. The problem is you eat too many fuzzy peaches and then your tongue goes numb because it's like eating sandpaper after a while. But God, they're good, especially if you just like suck all of the crispy like sugary on the outside off, and then you just have that like smooth gooey peach and oh yeah. Tornado said, hi diddly ho, Blancarino. Hope all is well. With the amazing amount of great games that came out this year, which console would you say had the best drops for exclusives in 2023? Between Mario Wonder on the Switch, Starfield on Xbox, and Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation alone, it's a hell of a lineup, not even mentioning everything else that released this year. I'm going to go with Nintendo personally. Tears of the Kingdom, F-Zero 99, and Mario Wonder alone are some of the best things I've seen in recent years. Yeah, honestly, if we're talking, listen, I am a Nintendo fanboy, so take what I say with a grain of salt, okay? But if you look at the best exclusives, not overall games, but the best exclusives from 2023, what did Xbox have? Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall, and Starfield are probably the biggest games. PlayStation had Spider-Man 2. I guess some would argue that Baldur's Gate 3 is exclusive because it kind of, but I mean, that's coming to Xbox eventually. Did PlayStation have another? I will say, listen, before any PlayStation fans get all upset with me, Spider-Man 2 is one of the best games of the year, and I buy PlayStation consoles for PlayStation games, and like their exclusives are always the best. But PlayStation 5 exclusives 2020, is that really? What else did they have for exclusives this year? Because last year was God of War and Horizon. Yeah. Final Fantasy 16. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16. That's probably the big two. Okay, so if Xbox had everything I just listed, I'll be honest, Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 beat the Xbox lineup. But, I am a fanboy. Yeah, I think it's funny because the Switch is getting so old, but I genuinely think it had the best lineup of exclusives this year. I think Tears of the Kingdom was fire. I think Super Mario Bros. Wonder was fire. F-Zero 99 was fucking awesome. It still has Mario RPG coming out next month, even though it is a remake. I loved Resident Evil 4 remake, but that wasn't an exclusive. Yeah, it probably was Nintendo. I agree. All three, I own all three consoles, and all three were worth buying this year. A lot of people have been asking me, where are you on Game of the Year? My short list is probably Resident Evil 4 remake. Oh, fuck, Xbox had Sea of Stars was an exclusive. That's just where I played it. My short list for Game of the Year is probably Resident Evil 4 remake, Sea of Stars, Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2, and Mario Wonder. That's probably gonna end up being my 5 finalists for Game of the Year. So yeah, I'll go with Nintendo, but I think all three had a great year. It was a good year for gaming. Diablo Spartan said, Dear Mr. Blank, long-time listener, first-time blower. In an alternate dimension where you grew up watching movies and not playing video games, would fans of your wildly successful podcast Remember the Film be hamburgers instead of hot dogs? If not, what would they be? Thanks for tackling the tough questions. Keep up the good work. I think they'd probably be, I don't know if hamburgers. You probably would be corn dogs. In an alternate universe where Blank Addams hosts Remember the Film and it's somehow become one of the biggest movie podcasts in the world, he calls everybody corn dogs, which, by the way, better than hot dogs. Straight up. But I can't eat as many. I could probably eat a dozen hot dogs. I like 3 or 4 corn dogs and my body's fighting with me. Ender Soul said, what's the hardest to pronounce game name that you've come across? Also, is there one that you just absolutely know you are mispronouncing and don't care either way? To answer your second question first, Ender Soul, yes, there are multiple words and game titles that I'm saying wrong on purpose just to get you angry. And sometimes you people message me and yell at me. And I'll be honest with you, I guess I have a little bit of like a fetish for it. It turns me on. Just a little bit to know there are strangers out there getting mad at the way I say words. So I'm never going to say everything right just because, I'm horny. Turns me on. As far as what the hardest to pronounce game name I've come across, I'm embarrassed that when I first came across Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, I really struggled with the word Requiem. I don't think I've ever read that word before, so I kept trying to say like Requiem, and everybody got mad at me. But easily, the hardest one is XEXYZ on the NES. People keep telling me how to say it. I'm never going to learn. It's Exizes. I don't know how the fuck to say it. Exizes. That is easily the worst one. Fuck you, Exizes. And finally, before we move on, it's letter time. Papa Thunderfist said, hey, Adam, I was curious if you in any way keep a record of the games you've beaten or played. I often find myself forgetting the games I played years ago and how long exactly it's been since I finished them. I'm working on making my list, but ran into an issue on what console and list certain games under. For example, any game on Rare Replay, does it count for its original console, or does it deserve a dictation that it was a remaster, or is it now technically an Xbox One game? I've also been using emulation on my 3DS to beat old games. Do I count them as originals but stipulate that it wasn't the original console? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. That is, don't overthink it, Papa Thunderfist, or you're going to become Papa Headache. Don't do that. No, I don't keep a record of the games that I've played. So I do have a rough games list from the PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Dreamcast era and further back. And that was for the podcast, and it was games we could cover for the show. And I literally, you know what I did? I went on Wikipedia and looked up the complete listings of every game that released for every one of those consoles and was just like, oh yeah, I remember that, and put it on the list. Oh yeah, I remember that, put it on the list. And if I couldn't remember enough about it to be like, did I play that or not? Then I'm like, then I obviously didn't play it that much, and I didn't put it on the list. But now I don't keep track at all. I will say, I can't remember what it's called. I should have looked it up, but I don't use it. There's like a backlog app. Just look it up, backlog app, and you can keep track of all the games you've played. And I know a lot of people recommend it. I know some people use Excel sheets as well. As far as where you should slot it in, I'll be honest, if it's not a remake, I'm slotting it in where I played it. So like if you were to play RC Pro-Am on Rare Replay on your Xbox One, I would slot that in under the NES for for RC Pro-Am. I would just keep it simple. What's the old saying? Keep it simple, dummy. Kissed. I would just keep it where it fucking belongs. So that's what I would do. But no, I don't do that. The only thing I do that for is books. And because those I do have a harder time remembering because I'm not supposed to judge them by the cover and I can't read all the pages to decide if I already read it. And I started slacking on that list and now I'm fucked and I don't know which ones I've read. So fuck my life, I suppose. Good luck. God bless you and good luck on your quest, Papa Thunderfist. Thank you, everybody that wrote in. As always, we got to keep the show moving. Let's get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. It is Play One, Remake One, Erase One. And because I've been asked, I don't keep track of these either. Some people have been like, do you keep track of the Play One, Remake One, Erase ones you've done so that you know so you don't repeat? I do not. I literally just make it up every 7 days. There could be ones that we've done multiple times and I've had different answers. I don't know what I'm doing. But as always, or pardon me, sorry. A huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for providing us with our unofficial theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. As always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one, and I'll tell you what it is in just a minute. This week we're talking scary NES games, so I decided to go with 3 more scary NES games. We already have the Addams Family here. I went with Friday the 13th, Monster Party, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. And 29% of you said that you would play Friday the 13th, remake A Nightmare on Elm Street, and erase Monster Party. Let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Fire Embalm said they all suck and the world will be better without them. That's fair. But play Friday the 13th, remake Monster Party, and erase Nightmare on Elm Street only because that's the order I see them on my screen. That is maybe the soundest logic I've ever heard here on Play One, Remake One, Erase One. That's the order they're in the graphic above the poll, so that's the order I'm going in. And that's bulletproof. I can't argue with any of that. John Drews said, first time writing to the show. You fuckers with your first times, and I'm going to stop. I can't keep reading them because I get so many of them, but I'm such a sucker for it. John said, I'd remake Nightmare on Elm Street because I'd love to play a game where you play as Freddy on today's hardware. I'd erase Monster Party because it's too weird of a game to even exist. And I'd play Friday the 13th since I actually like it. Keep up the good work, Adam. Thank you, John. How is Monster Party too weird of game to even exist on a fucking NES that had shit like A Boy and His Blob, Star Tropics, Little Nemo the Dream Master? The list goes on and on for weird games on the NES, but A Party of Monsters is the one that's too weird? I like it, John Drews. This is a bold take. Carl Wojtakatis. Carl France said, play Monster Party. It is quirky fun. Remake Friday the 13th. Updated graphics, fix the confusing ass map, and you could have a decent retro remake. Erase The Nightmare on Elm Street. The world isn't losing anything of value by erasing this game. Is it that bad? People are saying all these games are they all that bad? I've played Monster Party once. I don't think I've ever touched the other two. Captain Chunky Beard. That reminds me of Man Stew. Said, well, seeing as I didn't know these games were a thing, and I'm just finding that out in my 33 years on this planet now, as well as keeping to the rules here, I'd say play Friday the 13th. I'm a fan of the movies. Remake A Nightmare on Elm Street because who doesn't need a fresh coat of paint and a tune-up once in a while? And erase Monster Party because it looks like a child's game. What the fuck? Why would you? I guess, yeah, you're Captain Chunky Beard. That checks out. You're not going to play anything for children. You have a chunky beard. I'm going with 9%. All of the options got some love this week. I'm going with 9% of you, including Snack Crackle Prop, who said, first time commenting, greetings, fellow hot dogs. I played all 3 of these back in the day. Played Nightmare on Elm Street because it's a platformer made by Rare in the NES era, though it's more Wizards and Warriors than it is Battletoads. Remake Monster Party because it's actually a really great platformer with neato sprites and backgrounds. Lastly, erase Friday the 13th because it's a terrible RPG, better suited for gameplay on an Apple II. Whoa, bird. I don't know what an Apple II is. I assume it's a computer of some kind. I have different logic, completely different logic, but same order. I'm going to play A Nightmare on Elm Street because I just watched that movie for the first time like a week ago. And so I feel like now I could play it and be like Captain America and be like, I can understand that reference. It would make a lot more sense to me. I'm going to remake Monster Party because A, it's the only one I've already played a little bit. And B, I assume that it wouldn't be as scary as a remake as A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th would be. And I'm going to erase Friday the 13th because I haven't seen it. So I wouldn't understand the references, and I don't really care about his stupid fucking mask. Eventually I'll see it, and then maybe I'll change this. But for the time being, that's my thought process. Thank you, everybody that wrote in. As always, we're going to pause for a quick word from our sponsor, then I'll tell you what I've been playing. You already know the answer anyway, and then we'll get to the Addams Family, all right? We'll be right back. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who've served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix, there's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell, because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention, but when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, this might be the fastest what have I been playing ever. I've been playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It is awesome. I've been playing Spider-Man 2. It is awesome. And I've been playing Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem on the GameCube, and it is good. It's good. I know some people out there love it. It's kind of a cult classic, and I know some people are excited about it. I'm not going to come in here and just shit on it next week, but it's good. It's okay. We'll get more into it next week. It's not as good as... It's good. We'll leave it at that. That's really all I've been playing. I'm so obsessed with Mario and Spider-Man right now. It's ridiculous. Let's talk the Addams Family. That's why you kids are here. As always, I like to let our patrons sound off on the game we're covering before my guest and I, or in this case, I, hog the microphone. So let's see what a few of you had to say. Bedlam Bros Common Blood Cleaning Services. The usernames are getting bad here. So it said, still to this day, I have yet to beat this game. Was one of the rare games I never tagged quit. I assume that means rage quit. It says tagged quit because it was just that fun. It is fun, but I agree. I was never able to beat it either. I cannot for the life of me beat this game, but I'm going to try playing it tonight, Monday night on Twitch before this episode goes live. Maybe I'll beat it tonight and surprise myself, but I don't think I'll ever see the ending of this game. But I like it though. Yankee Doodle Randy said this game is a mighty fine blueprint for the 16-bit version, which is great. This NES version, however, is unforgiving with the hit detection and the lack of lives. I own a loose copy, but I never got good enough to beat it. I really want to try this 16-bit version. I'm interested. It looks awesome. I have to try it. Johnny from Virginia said this is a gem of a platformer. I used to rent it all the time, and I always enjoyed revisiting. It's a safe game. It's fun, plays well as far as I can remember. Nah, it doesn't really. It has variety, but doesn't do anything exceptional. It's just safe. But I like safe, and I have fond memories of playing this on sick days and around the Halloween season. Yeah, we used to rent it all the time. I don't know if I'd say it plays well. It's a cool concept, but it plays kind of shitty. Smooth Operator said very underrated game. I used to own it on my Atari ST prior to owning an SNES. I haven't played it in a very long time, but I have fond memories, so I'm looking forward to a trip down memory lane with this week's Remember the Game podcast. I remember 100%ing it on several occasions. with the help of the passwords that help save your progress. That one must have been the SNES one, because the NES one, you died a few times and they were like, go fuck yourself. I think. Did it have passwords? I'll find out. I'll tell you in a minute because I'm going to replay it before I review it. But I don't remember the NES one having passwords. And Scuba Steve said, this game is pretty all right. I really like the NES graphics when they try to be creepy, solid black backgrounds with creepy, colorful sprites. Now on to Fester's Quest. Fester's Quest is a fucking monstrosity. I used to rent that game because I liked Addams Family. I'll eventually review Fester's Quest, but that game can fester in my ass. That game is so fucking hard. Oh my god, that game makes the Addams Family look like fucking Kirby's Dream Land. Fuck me. Anyway, let's talk Addams Family. That's why you're here. I'm excited to talk about it. I fucked up and didn't get the release date ready for this episode, so I'm just going to keep talking for 2 seconds while I look it up. Here it is. I'm going to cue up some music. And when that's not right either. And when it stops, we're going to talk the Addams Family for the NES, which apparently originally released in North America in January of 1992. But I feel like it was earlier than that, so I don't fucking know when this game came out. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, let's get into this weird-ass game named after a weird-ass family that happens to share a name with me. And before I start hearing the jokes, no, this is not about my family. This is about the Addams Family. They don't even spell it the same as me. And let me just say, anybody out there that spells Adam with 2 Ds is fucking weird. And I know I probably just offended somebody out there whose last name is Addams, but that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, the Addams Family. It's not Addams. My name is spelled Addam. I'm not Addam. Anyways, this game, man, like I said in the intro, my little brother and I used to rent this game all the time when we were kids, and I don't know why. If I'm being honest, I don't think this is a bad game at all. Well, okay, no, I don't think it's a bad game. Do I think it's like a great game? No. But there are way, way, way worse games on the NES. But the thing is, growing up, I wasn't an Addams Family fan. My little brother, to the best of my knowledge, was not an Addams Family fan. I don't understand. I've never seen the movie, any of the movies. I don't even know how many fucking movies there is now, but I haven't seen any of them. I used to watch the cartoon show when I was little. So I don't know why the fuck we used to rent this all the time, but we did. And it doesn't... I really don't know how to... I guess in a way, it's like Ninja Turtles from the NES, the one with the electric seaweed. In the sense, it's not as good as Ninja Turtles, but like in the sense of like there's a really ambitious, frankly, somewhat creative game here, and I just think it gets held back by some weird controls, some fucking brutal collision detection, which we'll get into. And at the end of the day, it's just NES tough. And the thing about it is, like, I know I was pretty hard on Devil May Cry last week, and for being hard. And I know that I sometimes rag on games that I find difficult because I suck at games and I'm a pussy, but I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for NES tough games. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I grew up in the NES era. And I fired this up. If you're interested, if you've never seen the Addams Family, I'm going to stop saying it that way. But if you've never seen the Addams Family, the video game, the NES one that we're talking about here, if you're hearing this right after the show goes live, I actually streamed it for about 2 hours on Monday night. I took 3 different shots at it because it's one of those games that when you die, you start over. And I took 3 shots at this fucking game, and the stream is still up, so you can see practically the whole game. Because I'll tell you, dude, there's something. It's. We've never come up with a name for the phenomenon where you die at a video game, and then you just say fuck it, and you give up, and you walk away, and then when you come back, all of a sudden you do way better. We've never come up with an official name for that, but that's what this was. Except instead of walking away for like a day or a weekend, I walked away for like 25 years because I don't think I've played this since I was a kid, and I fired it up and got right to the end of the game on Monday night, which was fucking insanity. I save stated a little bit, but not too brutal. I'll explain why. So anyway, the point is, there's a really cool concept for a game here. It's just way too hard, and the fucking controls don't work, and it pisses me off. I'd love to try the SNES or the Genesis version because it looks like a lot more fun than the fucking NES one. So if you've never played it, you control Gomez Addams. If you don't know who anybody in the Addams Family are, I don't even know what the story of the Addams family is. They're like a rich family and they're fucking weird. And there's like a husband and wife and a grandma and a son and a daughter and then a creepy uncle and a butler and a hand. Right? I think that's everybody. And then I know there's like Cousin It, but I don't think Cousin It is in this game. So in this game, you control Gomez Addams. And as far as I understand, Uncle Fester is trying to like steal your fortune and give it to some bad witch or something. And your whole family is like gone missing. And so you control Gomez Addams and you start off outside of the mansion. And it's actually, this is what the good part of the game is. It's kind of a puzzle platformer and it's really kind of clever. Some of the puzzles. When the game starts, you just have Gomez Addams with no items. The only moves you have are walking and jumping. And you can jump off the tops of enemies, Mario style. But unlike Mario, where when you land on top of an enemy, you land on top of the enemy. In this game, if you land almost on top of the enemy, it's like, you went right through the fucking enemy. And we'll get to all that. The collision detection is fucked. But when you pause it, you can see a list of the family members you need to rescue, which are Pugsley, who's your son, Wednesday, who's your daughter, Grandma, who is, I think, your nephew. It's your grandma. Lurch the butler, Morticia, who's his wife, and Thing, the hand. Those are the 6 members of the family that you need to find throughout the game. And then other than that, there's spots for different items you can collect throughout the game, different keys you can collect throughout the game, and stuff like that. And you just start out walking and you walk across the front of the mansion and you end up, the only place you can go, the front door to the mansion is locked. So at the very beginning of the game, you walk across the whole courtyard or the Gomez estate or whatever the fuck you call it, their front yard. And you end up going down into like a crypt where there's a skeleton. And if you jump on the skeleton's head 3 times, he drops the house key. And then you can go open the front door to the house, get into the mansion. And from there, it's not completely open world. It's not completely go wherever the fuck you want, but there's a little bit of go wherever you want. You can tackle it in a few different ways. And you basically have to track down every member of your family. And there's a lot of puzzles. Like, for example, I guess there's going to be spoilers. The game is like fucking 30 years old. Who cares? Pugsley, your, what's the word I want to use? Your hefty son is stuck. He tried to go down his emergency chute out of his bedroom and got stuck. So you have to collect the 3 ingredients that show up on your pause menu around the house that will make a shrinking potion that you can use to get Pugsley out of the secret exit that he's stuck in. Wednesday, your daughter is trapped at the end of a freezer. And so you have to go through this platforming level of the freezer, which we'll fucking get to. It's one of the hardest parts of this fucking game, and it's so... So you get to the end of the freezer, you rescue Wednesday, your daughter, and she's like, thank you for saving me, but I'm frozen solid and I can't help you. So then you need to find a source of heat, which is the furnace in the kitchen, to thaw her. And then she'll help you. So you have to go to the furnace. And once you go into the furnace, she unthaws, and then she's like, hey, thanks. Now I can give you a key. By the way, Granny is at the end of the furnace, which is another platforming level. And the freezer obviously is like an ice platforming level. The furnace is like a fire platforming level. And at the end of that, Granny's there, and you rescue her, and she's like, hey, if you can find my wrench, I'll go up and fix my fog machine, which is on the roof. And the fog is one of the ingredients you need for the potion to shrink Pugsley, your son. So I'm not going to get into where everybody is per se, but like you can tackle it in a few different options. There's one main path through the game, but there's a few different ways you can go to get to that path. You can collect keys in different orders or save family members in different order and stuff like that. And in that sense, I like the game. And that's why I'm likening it to Ninja Turtles from the NES. Because I'm a complete homer because I love the NES and I love the Ninja Turtles. But like, I don't think that first Turtles game is that bad. The one with the electric seaweed that everybody talks about, I just think it's really, really tough. But I think it's a really ambitious game there. And I like the various levels and some of the puzzle solving and stuff like that that's in that game, as opposed to just the button mashing beat 'em ups of Turtles 2 and Turtles 3. Not that I don't like those games, but I like I like the cleverness, you know? And that's what I like about this game. They could have just made a standard platformer where you just go through 10 levels as Gomez, jumping on monsters and collecting money and stuff like that. But instead, they really did try to build this crazy little world around their mansion where you have to go around and, like, at one point you pick up, what's one of the music? You pick up a sheet, like sheet music, like for a piano. And then you can use that. You ring the big bell in the house, and Lurch, the butler, shows up and says, I'll go play this on the piano for you. And then about a minute later, he's made his way to the ballroom. He starts playing his music. And then that actually gets a couple of ghosts to dance around the ballroom, which moves them out of the way of the door opens up to the backyard, Like, there's little things like that, Rob. I like puzzle solving and I like working my way through. And it's like, you are going to hit multiple dead ends in the game. Not because you can't beat the platforming, but you're like, okay, I've got a snorkel. That's one of the items you can get is a swimming snorkel. And you're like, so somewhere there must be somewhere I can swim. And then it's about going through every room in this mansion and figuring out what can I interact with now? What can I solve? And in that sense, I think it's really great. The problem is forget that fucking collision detection and all that kind of stuff. The sheer difficulty of this game is oh my God, it's fucking infuriating. Like, in most games, I'm trying to think, what's a tough NES game? Castlevania, pretty tough. Castlevania is a much better game than this, by the way. I am not comparing the Addams Family to Castlevania. Much better game, Castlevania is. But when you get hit by an enemy in Castlevania and you get bounced back like a third of the way across the fucking screen, but you do get that 2 or 3 seconds of invincibility. Mega Man, when you hit an enemy, you get a couple seconds of invincibility. Mario Brothers, you get hit, you might lose your power up, but you get a couple seconds of invincibility. In this game, there is no bounce back, which is good, but there's no invincibility, which is so bad. It's fucking ridiculous. At the very beginning of the game, when you're walking in front of the mansion that you can't go in as Gomez Addams, some guy is opening the windows upstairs and throwing shit at you. And if whatever he's throwing at you hits you, and you keep running, so say you're running forward, what he throws comes down at like a 45-degree angle, bounces off the ground, and then just kind of bounces along the front yard. If you don't just stop and let it bounce away, if you keep running with it bouncing on top of you, it just like, and you're dead. Like, it just hits you over and over and over again. When you miss jumping on top of an enemy and you fall through the enemy, which happens all the fucking time, it's like, imagine if the hitbox, like they made on top of an enemy for you to jump on, because you can jump off them and bounce off Mario style. But imagine if instead of the hitbox being the entire top of the enemy, it's like the top 30%, right dead center in the middle of the enemy's head. Like, Goombas are triangles. Imagine if the only way you could kill the Goomba is to jump right at the very peak of the top of that triangle. That's what the enemies are like in this game, except their heads aren't triangles. A lot of them are flat. So you think I can land on it anywhere. Nay. You need to land right at the fucking top. And if you miss that jump right on the top, you'll go through the enemy, land on the ground in front of the enemy, and the enemy is just and just massacring you. And like, you can lose your entire health bar in about 4 seconds just standing there on top of an enemy. And if that enemy happens to be on spikes, fuck you, because now the spikes are hurting you because you're standing on the spikes because you fell through the enemy because you didn't jump right on the top peak of its flat fucking head. And it's still hurting you at the same time. It's so ridiculous. You can lose your whole health bar so fast. And you can pick up blocks of cheese laying around the house to get your health back. But there's might be like, I don't even think there's 5 in the entire game, and they don't come back. So it is the definition of, and I fucking hate this term, but it is the definition of get good. And it's just easily its biggest fault is the fucking weird-ass collision detection. It is absolutely obnoxious. And then add in just how difficult the game is as a whole. Because you're not just losing health, or you're not just dying from losing health, falling through enemies, and having them feast on your ass when you're standing in front of them. There's platforming segments. Remember I mentioned the freezer, where you have to go rescue Wednesday? Oh, fuck me. Dude, this freezer, first of all, listen, I love platformers, but let's just put our cards on the table, all right? Ice levels in platformers fucking suck. When you're sliding around all over the place, doesn't matter if it's Mario or this or whatever, I hate them. I hate sliding everywhere. You go into the freezer in this game, and fucking Gomez Addams decided to, I don't know, I assume the fuck is on the bottom of this man's shoes, because there's not a little bit of sliding. You're going like a third of the way across the screen when you land. And this whole level is just full of pits that will kill you instantly. So you need to make your way across the level. You need to dodge the enemies, like the penguins that are bouncing around, the giant snowballs that are rolling at you, the icicles that fall from the fucking ceiling that give you no indication that they're gonna fall until they do, and fuck you, because they're gonna hit you like 3 times on the way past, like because there is no temporary. I'm making that noise because that's kind of the noise it makes when it hits you. There is no temporary invincibility. They're just feasting on you. So if the things that are trying to kill you by draining your health bar don't kill you, falling into the fucking pits will. Because the freezer starts off, you're running to the right of the screen and you're just jumping over pits that are in the floor. And it's like, all right, I can handle this. They can get a little tricky because you're sliding as you land, but it's doable. But then it gets to points where you need to jump on platforms that are up in the sky and work your way across. And dude, these fucking platforms, the hitboxes on the top are the exact same as the hitboxes in the enemies. Imagine the Goomba with the point on top of its head. You need to get so up and over onto the top of these platforms that if you jump a little bit too early and you kind of come at it and say you land like right on the corner of the platform, the game's like, haha, fuck you, you didn't land on top. You go right through the platform, down into the hole, you die. And you have 3 lives per continue, and I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 continues. And you can pick up maybe 3 extra lives throughout the game, and then that's it, you're fucking done. And so you get your way through this entire freezer. This is easily the hardest part of the game, except maybe the pond, which we'll get to. You make your way to the end of this freezer. You jump over the pits at the bottom of the level. Then you jump onto these platforms and then jump back down the platforms. Then you go through a segment where snowballs are coming at you and you need to jump into really narrow columns in the frost above you because the ceiling has come down to basically the same height as Gomez. So you need to basically line yourself up perfectly with these little columns, jump straight up in the air, let the snowball go underneath you, move to the next one, so on and so forth. Then you get to the very end and you see Wednesday and she's up on a platform and she's frozen solid, but you have to jump across another big hole full of water, and these 2 ice cubes come up for about 2 seconds and then go back down. And it's no different than a Mega Man game where you're jumping on the appearing and disappearing platforms, except again, that fucking collision detection is so fucked up. You need to land exactly on top of both ice cubes and you have no fucking time to react. You've got 1 shot, and if you slide or miss or land just on the corner of a platform a little bit, fuck you, down into the water, start the fucking freezer over again, fuck you, Gomez Addams. You get all the way to the end of this thing, you rescue Wednesday, and you're like, thank fuck. I beat the freezer level. It's the hardest level in the game. I fucking beat it. No, you didn't. Now you need to make your way all the way back through the fucking level. Basically do the whole level again. Back to the door. There is no like fast exit at the end of the freezer where you find your way out or anything. You need to hoof it all the way back through and do it twice. I have lost entire games, all my continues, everything, just trying to get through that freezer. And that's where it's so frustrating, because I like the idea of it being a puzzle game with platforming elements, but then the platforming is the most half-assed, broken piece of shit. God fucking fuck. Let's pause for a word from our sponsors, and I'm going to compose myself and tell you about some of the other bullshit levels in this fucking game. Fuck, I hate that fucking freezer. I don't even know if this episode has made any sense whatsoever. You're rescuing your family, the house is a disaster, and that freezer fucking sucks. We'll be right back after this. Seriously, there's 2 other parts of this game that I find as difficult as that fucking freezer. It's so long, dude. Like it's the longest portion of the game, and it's all platforming, and it's so fucking difficult. You have to platform in the furnace as well, but you're not sliding everywhere, and it doesn't feel like there's nearly as many bullshit jumps. Same thing, you have to make it to the end, rescue Granny who's stuck in the furnace, and then make your way back in like a fire platforming level, but it's not nearly as bullshit as the freezer. There's a part where you have to go, there's a pond in the backyard. So you get Lurch to play the music, like I said, that moves this dancing couple that opens up the door to the backyard. I'm a fan of all that. Then you're making your way through the backyard. And actually, when you're walking through the backyard level, it kind of looks like Zelda 2. The Adventures of Link when you're walking through the dark woods. There's enemies everywhere. There's these birds flying overhead trying to drop rocks on you and shit. And again, when the rocks hit you, they hit you like 4 times, not just fucking once. Because fuck you and your temporary invincibility. But when you manage to make it to the end of the yard, there's a pond. The pond I guess they have a giant death-defying fucking pond in their yard, which you can't go through until you have the snorkel, which is hidden in the house. So then you get to the pond, then you have to swim through, and it turns into like what looks like a Super Mario Brothers type swimming level. You just mash B to swim. But dude, listen to me. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think I can do this justice. It is Gomez has got lead in his balls. It is just, he weighs 1,000 pounds. And when you're tapping B and swimming forward, it works okay. You can't touch the bottom, there's spikes. You can't touch the top because there's spikes. There's enemies like piranhas and shit throughout the water. They'll fucking hurt you too. And when one of these piranhas gets on top of you, again, it's not like it hits you once and swims right through. If it's swimming in the same direction you are and it happens to hit you once, it'll just stay on top of you until you just let go of swim or something and fall underneath it. And it will just take like half your health bar off. But you're mashing B to swim. And to get Gomez to go up at all, like it's to get him to go forward or backward isn't too bad, and to get him to sink, you just let go of the swim button. But to get him to go up in that water, I'm telling you, you should have been watching that stream Monday night. I had the controller down on my desktop, and I am literally just mashing. I'm playing it on my NES Classic with an NES controller. I am mashing B with every ounce of fucking, like, I don't know, what do you, like, testosterone? I don't fucking know. Everything I've got, I'm just, and I'm like, I'm sweating, and my arm is starting to hurt. I'm like, I'm developing fucking arthritis. That's the word. I was like, Alzheimer's? That's not it. Is it ironic that I couldn't remember what the word was and I thought it was Alzheimer's? But it was arthritis. And I'm like, I feel like that's what I'm developing in my hand because I'm mashing B. And like, it's, dude, you get to the end of the pond and there's the wrench. That's the only reason you have to go into the pond, because one of the items in the game is the wrench and you have to find it at the end of the pond. Fair enough. So you get it. It's in like a column with two walls up either side. So you get to the top of the column, catch your breath, let go of B, you sink down to the bottom of the column, you get the wrench, then you gotta get out of this column, and the only way out is to swim straight up and out. And I'm telling you, it's maybe 3 inches tall. It will take you a good 45 seconds of just mashing B nonstop to get him up and over that thing. I've always considered like the Advantage controller with the turbo semi-cheating. Like, I won't use that for stuff like Contra or anything, but in this case, I will make an exception. I never want to, that was honestly like the furnace the freezer is infuriating, but at least there's some aspects of fun to it because it is platforming. Trying to swim in that fucking water in the backyard is just straight up ridiculous because you don't even get hurt. Like you just tap, 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 and you've literally come up like a fucking 1/8 of an inch on the screen. Tap, 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 tap. And if you let go or stop tapping for a split second, right back down to the bottom. And where there's not even anything to hurt you, you're just like I almost needed my inhaler trying to swim through this fucking pond. So that's the second part of the game that sucks. Number 1, the furnace. Number 2, the pond. Now, I have some positives too, but I'm going to get the 3 shitty things out of the way. Number 3 is the roof. All right? Once you thaw Wednesday, she gives you the key to the attic, which is one of the things I do like about this game. There are locked doors throughout the house, and you have to find keys, which are laying around in different places. And like, I like the puzzle solving aspect of that. I can get on board with that. So Wednesday gives you the key to the attic. So you go all the way to the end of the hall upstairs. You go up these stairs. You open the door to the attic. Then you have to go through this little platforming level where there's some bats and some rats coming at you. It's really not that bad. Now you're on the roof of the Addams Family mansion. And there's a huge gray brick wall behind you. And at random, these fucking gray bricks will fall out. And so you have to crawl across this roof. Just tap, 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 tap. And just watch those bricks up top. Because if one of them falls, you have got about, I'm not exaggerating, maybe a quarter of a second to push back and get Gomez out of the way. And if the brick hits you, here's the most frustrating part. Assuming you've collected the umbrella at one point throughout the game, you don't even take any damage. It just goes out to the front of the mansion where the game started. Gomez floats down with his umbrella, and you need to go in the door of the mansion, up the stairs of the mansion, across the entire upstairs hall of the mansion, up the stairs to the attic, through the whole platforming area of the attic, past all the rats and bats, back up to the roof, start again, and all the bricks that were falling on you are back. So you better remember which ones were falling. They don't give any kind of tell. They don't look any different because you need to crawl across this fucking roof again. It is so stupid. And while you're trying to crawl across the roof, these fucking birds are flying overhead, dropping rocks on you, which are damaging you. So you can't go too slow because there's a never-ending chain of birds dropping rocks on you, but you can't go too fast or the fucking rocks or the bricks from the wall. I just punched my microphone by mistake. The bricks from the wall hit you and you fall down to the ground and have to start it all over again. And it's so hard. That was where I save stated. Was going across that roof. Because I was like, I just don't have the patience for this fucking shit. And the whole reason you have to do it is just to get to the end of the roof where Granny's fog machine is that she had to fix if you gave her the wrench, which if you go up there before you give Granny a wrench to fix. Okay, and remember, okay, so here's your chain of command, all right? Granny is in the furnace. Once you rescue her, if you give her a wrench, she'll go up and fix the fog machine. The fog machine is at the top of the far end of this fucking roof past all these goddamn bricks. And all you have to do is get to the fog machine to collect a little bit of fog that's part of the potion you need to make to shrink Pugsley to get him out of his fucking secret escape. But to get up to the attic, which leads to the roof, you need Wednesday. To get Wednesday, you have to go through the freezer and unthaw her, or get her, get back through the freezer, go to the furnace to thaw her, then she'll give you the key to the attic. But remember, Granny needed the wrench. Where's the wrench? It's at the bottom of the pond in the backyard. But you can't swim through the pond without finding the snorkel, which is, I don't remember where it is. It's in one of the rooms upstairs. So you better have gone and found that snorkel. And it's just, do you see the yin and yang? I'm probably not selling any of you on trying this game, but I really genuinely like hey, you need to find I'm not comparing it to Zelda 2 or anything, but like, it's got a little bit of Zelda 2. So I guess I am loosely comparing it. It's got just a little bit of Zelda 2 to it. Just a hint. Because you need to figure out where's this item that I need that'll then activate this thing that then keeps the game going. It's just that fucking freezer, that fucking roof, and that fucking pond. Excuse me. Those three things almost break the fucking game. They're just... Other than that, you're basically just going through the house. Some of the enemies are pretty cool. There's like spiders. It's the Addams Family, right? So there's like some creepy haunted shit there. There's like spiders. There's bats. There's rats. Swords fall off the wall and try to cut you. There's this weird goblin with like a giant goose egg on his head that's always running around trying to kill you, but you can knock like a chandelier down off the roof that'll kill him and get rid of him. There's one room that's really cool, but it's a bullshit enemy. It's like a study, and there's like a giant like polar bear rug just laying on the floor, and when you get near it, it jumps up, and the polar bear's still alive, and it starts chasing you. And you have to run back to the beginning of the study where there's a bear trap hanging on the wall. You jump off the bear's head, touch the bear trap falls, and if the polar bear runs into it, he gets stuck for the rest of the game and he can't hurt you anymore. Like, some of the enemies are actually pretty cool. There's like fucking giant, like, they look like Venus flytraps, but they spit like spike balls or something at you. There's a treehouse outside. Once you get the key to the treehouse, you go into the treehouse, you climb up to the top where there's all these bats coming at you, and there's a giant owl egg up there, and the egg is one of the ingredients for the potion to rescue Pugsley as well. And I don't know what else to say. It's such a... Why the fuck did we rent this so much as kids? It's not that good of a game. But there really is, like, there's a good skeleton there. And I know that's a funny thing to say with an Addams Family game, but like, there's a good skeleton to this game. The problem is just that fucking collision detection and how goddamn difficult it is. Kind of breaks it and makes it really fucking, and makes it almost unfun. There's no password system. There's no continues. I believe there's a password system in the Super Nintendo version, maybe the Genesis, but there's not in the NES version. So I had never gotten to the point where I had rescued everybody except the last person you rescue is Morticia, which is Gomez's wife. And I've never rescued her. I've never gotten that far. But once you've rescued the rest of the family and gotten all the other items, you give Lurch some different music. He plays that, and he opens up a door in the study that leads to like a secret path where you go on like a canoe boat. I don't even have to call it it's like ATM machine, a canoe boat. You get in a canoe and you go across this little pond, and then there's a hidden door at the end. You go into the door, and then there's like a scale that you have to step on that'll then raise up to open up the door to get to the final boss of the game. But while you're playing through the game, you're collecting money everywhere because the Addams Family is rich. They have a giant mansion. So there's like wads of cash everywhere. There's gold bars. There's the classic money bags with the giant dollar sign on them, which I've never seen in real life, but I like to think that that's where banks keep money. And those are all over the game. And I never knew until Monday night playing it that had anything to do with the game. I thought they were just just a scoring system. And so all you had to do was go around and collect the money just set a high score if you want to. But then I found out when I got there last night that at the end of the game, you need to have $1 million to trigger the final part of the game. And I had not been going out of my way to collect the money. I'd been just focused on trying to stick the landing on all these fucking platforming jumps and try not to get eaten alive by running bears and goblins with goose eggs. And so I got to the very end of the game for the first time ever and only had $500,000. And the game was like, haha, fuck you. Go back out there and find another $500,000 in points. So now the next time, if I ever play this game again, and I think I'm going to, because I'd really like to put up a complete playthrough on YouTube if I can get good enough to beat it. Not only do you need to focus on sticking the landing on all your jumps in that fucking freezer and trying to land on top of enemies' heads so they don't kill you in 3 fucking seconds when you miss jumps, but you also need to go out of your way to collect every piece of currency laying around this shit show of a mansion so that when you get to the very end of the game, you have $1 million. And then I don't know what happens. I assume you rescue Morticia and fight the final boss, but I can't get there to find out. It's so hard. Such a hard fucking game. NES tough, man. NES. Because the thing about it is if it wasn't NES tough, look, I was playing it last night. I played for 2 hours. I did 3 runs and I almost beat it, right? You can't. Back in the 80s and the 90s, these games had to be tough just to make them seem longer so they would take you longer to beat. Otherwise, kids would be pissed off they got this game for Christmas. And you might be pissed off you got this game for Christmas anyway. But you're pissed off you got this game for Christmas and you beat it in 2 days. I will say a couple other things I actually like. I think for an NES game, graphics are pretty good. They're trying to do the creepy thing. Some of the backgrounds, especially when you're outside, out front of the mansion, pretty cool. It's like nighttime. You can see the moon in the sky. There's old trees. There's like ghosts and shit flying around. There's tombstones everywhere. Inside the mansion, there's all kinds of creepy pictures and shit. Some of the eyes on some of the pictures are looking at you and fucking staring at you. You can interact with stuff. When you go into like Wednesday's room, there's headless dolls bouncing around that can hurt you. When you go into Pugsy's room, he's got a giant piranha tank that you have to look out for because if you try to jump across it to collect the money on the other side, the piranhas can get you. I think the graphics are actually pretty, they're not the best graphics on the NES or anything, but they're pretty above okay. I was going to say above average. They're like, I give them like a 6 or 7 out of 10. The graphics are actually pretty decent. The music, y'all have heard that Addams Family theme right out of the top. You're going to hear it again in a few minutes when I wrap up this episode. 9/10 of the game, you just hear that fucking loop over and over and over again. That da-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na. It got to the point on the stream last night where we turned the music practically down to nothing because it was like, I can't fucking listen to this anymore. Holy baby Jesus. And then what's really frustrating is there's one other really cool song. You just heard it before the game chat part started, and that plays when you're in the furnace, and it plays when you're in the freezer, and it's a really cool song. Let's play that more. Nah, fuck you. We're gonna play that da-da-da-da over and over. It's just like Ghostbusters that fucking plays that shitty version of the Ghostbusters theme song over and over and over and over again. Why? Why did they do that? Remember DuckTales? Remember Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers? Sure, they had like awesome chiptunes versions of the title track, but they also had other music, but they were made by Capcom and not fucking Ocean. This game, it's just the same 20 seconds of music over and over and over, and it makes you insane. And if it doesn't make you insane, missing jumps will make you insane. And if that doesn't make you insane, the fact that enemies touch you once and take away half your health bar because they just stick to you like fucking glue will make you insane. And if none of that makes you insane, the end of the game will make you insane because you'll find out you need $1 million in currency that you weren't fucking collecting because you were too busy trying to stick the jumps and avoid the enemies that eat all your health, and you just want to save your family. By the end of this game, I'm like, fuck it. I don't need to save anybody. I hope you all just die. I'm taking my money and going to fucking Cuba. I don't know where Gomez Addams vacations. Some people brought up Fester's Quest when I was streaming this on Monday. We rented Fester's Quest like once, I think, as kids after playing the Addams Family. We were like, oh, I wonder if this is like Addams Family. And, no, it's not. If you're wondering if Addams Family, if Fester's Quest will ever get an episode, I don't know. Maybe someday, because I'm sure some people would like that, but that game is so, at least this game is like fun hard. I find Fester's Quest, I don't know, I need to go back to it. I shouldn't even say that. I haven't played it since I was a little kid. Maybe it is fun hard. I put this game, like I said, in the same class as like the Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles is much, much better. but it is a single-player platformer. I like that they tried to do something new with it instead of just a beat-em-up or a side-scroller. It's got some really cool concepts in it, but it could have used a little bit more playtesting. And it just, even if you just fixed that the collision detection and the swimming would have made it so much better. But if you did those two things, it would make the game so much harder or so much easier, and it'd be beatable. I don't know. Apparently the Super Nintendo version and the Genesis version are much more ambitious. I'd really like to try them at some point because I've only played this one. But I will sit here, and I know I've spent most of the last 40 minutes shitting on this game. I genuinely think there's a good game here. And I remember when I asked a couple of months ago, hey, would anybody be interested in this episode? And a surprising number of people came out of the woodworks and were like, I played the Addams Family. It wasn't just me. I played the Addams Family. So there's your episode. Most Remember the Game podcasts these days are covering old games that I'm playing for the first time because we're running out of games that I grew up playing. This is one I did grow up playing that I've always wanted to cover, but I was worried nobody else would have played it. And maybe this still was a shitty episode, but I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed going back and playing it. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to try to get a full playthrough up on YouTube eventually. I do have other YouTube playthroughs up. You can check them out at youtube.com/rememberthegame. But if you want to see my stream of this and you're hearing this in the first couple of weeks after I did it, twitch.tv/rememberthegame. It's over there. And before you message me and say you can download your stream and put it on YouTube, I would rather put like a full playthrough up on YouTube than those 3 streams where I almost beat it. It came up short because that fucking freezer and that fucking roof and that fucking money. I still don't get why we rented this. We didn't watch this show. I'd never seen anything about the Addams Family as a kid except for the dumb cartoon, which I think came out after this game. I'm assuming my brother rented it because he looks like Pugsley. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He looks kind of like Lurch, actually, my brother. I look like Uncle Fester. Josh looks kind of like Lurch because he's tall and gross. Anyway, if I got to give this game a score, we'll score it out of 1 million because you need to come up with $1 million to access the final boss. Such BS. I was so excited last night that I got to the final boss and then realized I was only halfway there because I needed more fucking money. Fuck you, Addams Family. If I'm scoring it out of 1 million, I'll give it $666,669. Nice. Yeah, basically like a 6.5 out of 10. They're much better NES games, but there's a lot of like really, really shitty NES games too, and I don't consider this a really, really shitty NES game. I consider it a middle of the road NES game. I don't think you can really play it anywhere. I don't think it's available on anything. You're gonna have to emulate it. This is one of those games where I'm like, emulate the fuck out of it. Not gonna offend me at all. Or just watch somebody play it. Save yourself the stress. That's probably what I would do. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna cue up that. There it is. I'll let it play just long enough to get stuck in your head, and then I'll hit you with the outro, and we'll get the fuck out of here. All right? We'll be right. Let's do the thing. Stupid fucking stupid freezer. And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for giving me a call and talking The Addams Family on the NES. Did anyone used to watch that show, the cartoon? I used to watch that. The show fucking creeped me out. I think it was a live action one too, wasn't there? I used to watch the live action one because Cousin It, the hairy thing was there. Man, what a fucking Addams Family's so weird. Anyways, thank you to me for talking about the show, and way more importantly, thank you from me for listening to me talk to you about this game. Whether this was your first Remember the Game or your 270th or some other random number, I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of retro gaming podcasts out there, and you gave us a chance. And I sound like Air Canada, except I'm not as shitty as Air Canada. But thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this, leave us a good review, would you? I don't know what they accomplish, but I'm supposed to ask for them. So leave us a nice review on your podcast service of choice. And if you want more of these, we got you, fam. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. Subscriptions start at $3 a month. There are over 500 bonus podcasts, ad-free, waiting-free over there. You can listen to them all on Spotify now, which is so much easier than using the Patreon app. It is the fucking bee's knees. You can also add them to most other podcast services, Apple and all those other ones, and listen there as well. Plus, you can submit comments, join our Discord, and a whole bunch of other things. What else do I plug? I'm on Twitch. Twitch.tv/member the game. Whenever I have time to get on there, come by and say hi. Don't forget, November 3rd and 4th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mountain both days. I'll be on there streaming for 24 hours to raise money for the Stollery Children's Hospital. If you donate $20, you'll be entered to win some Remember the Game swag or a video game of your choice. And we're going to be auctioning off a chance to be my guest on an episode of this stupid podcast next year, all in the name of the children. So check that out. You can find more information at rememberthegamepodcast.com. I have a P.O. box. Send me a letter. I'll send you one back. You can find it there as well. I'm on Cameo. Cameo.com/Adam Blank. And Wally? No, I think that's it. I think that's enough plugs. I'm leaving. I'll be back tomorrow for all of our Patreons with whatever expansion pass topic wins our poll. I'll be back on Friday with Game Patch. And I'll be back next week with a whole nother slab of podcasts, including probably Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem for the Nintendo GameCube. One of the weirdest fucking games I've ever played. I'm going to thank some Patreons and get the fuck out of here. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you on the next one. Cheers. So long. Goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/remember the game. And as such, I'm contractually obligated to say their names as quickly as possible. So a huge thank you to VOS Rager, Wilco, Justin Blair, Diablo Spartan, Philip, Theodore, David Schroeder, Kawa My Bunga, Clockwork Orange These Nuts, Eric Hopewell, Adam Blank Loves Mario is Missing. That's not true. Bearded Bastard, S, Alex McIntyre, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Philip Ramsey, Lotus, AJ McCurgy, Johnny Zubu 81, Lord State Puffed, Austin from Past to Present Player Podcast, Flinny123, Ryan Whitcomb, Big Daddy Randall, Scissor Fist, Elephant Calves, Uncanny, Cody Thompson, Liquor Like Luigi, Philip My Mouth with Farts, Cesar, Plow King, Buy Me Bone Storm, Nat Zeus, Bula, Glue Scappin, Blobby Rogers, Brian Richmond, Sabin, Guy Who Does Things, Robbie Air, Jay Callahan, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Tornado, Shoeboxers, Atrio Wormwood, Raging Irish, Mark Sneed, E-Man Trucker, The Supreme Chozorizo, Fallen Snow Kiku, Tyler Bauer, It's OG, Hired Goons, Who, B Money, Mellow Yellow 8787, Chris Hill, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Benjamin Atkins, Faded Sufferance, Alex Ramos, Sour Goatface, Max Sandin, Frosty Bear, Roger Staubach's Pool Cleaner, Lord Longrod von Hugendom II, Marcus Mendoza, Digital Dave, Because 19, Beers of War, Mario Galaxy still hasn't reviewed Adam Blank, Can't Destroy Her, Kevin Monroe, Dr. Nightmare 23, The Big Deal, NAFE, Adam Martinet, Nick Creature, WestGen, Postman, Darth Skywalter, Solomon Soto, there's the voice crack, Just Car Pranks, Mr. Papa Giorgio, Itchy Nutsuru, Locus Valadez, It's the Bigfoot, Alex R., Ryan Perry, Ted Explosion, Tom Houlihan, Neil Cooper, Alexander Camps, Dakota Guy, Works for Me, AB Killer, Knife Goes in, Guts Come Out, Kia Pup, I needed a sip of the old moonshine. That's not one of our Patreons. I just needed a drink. Brandon DeZeba, Bobby Litton, Oh My God It Froze, Big the Cat, Zamatos, Christopher Britt, Cam Nelly 23, Quiet Place Queen, Burt Macklin, Chevy Boy 9211, Bulma Simp, Hitchy Poo, Beef Dingleberry, Timothy Zabrinsky, John M. Watkins, My Foot, Graham Kennedy, Musty Beetle, Radioactive Man, Maverick, Marty, Christian Gabriel, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Isaiah, Squeak Nut, Sleeper Hit, Colin Bollinger, The Fletchman, Nerdy Hybrid, Donnie the Dude, Walter, Sam Carpenter, Drugs are bad, okay, Franklin Badge, John of the Adult Children Podcast, James Juan Francesco, Max Lagroom, Deb Boys on the Roof, General Fury, Cody Richardson, Oroku Saki's Gardner, Chris Williams, Jimothy, K-Hatch, Esteban Navarro, High Plains Drifter, Hagel Waffle, Earl, Storm Spiegel, I suck at this, Scary Terry, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Why the Surgeon is Not a Surgeon Row, a dude named Adam, Decoy Man, Fuzzy 99, Dan Fusselman, Gabe, Matt Babinu, Stud Still Smash, Sean Ramos, Rush's Dog Walker, Leroy Westrich, Nicola, Thomas Smith, TC Spin, Beaver Boy Laces Out, Dan, Biddy, Thomas Childs, Mega Mav, Nick Amos, Eric James, Joe the Sandman, Phil Lencher, Tyler, Juris Dr. Mario, Mizuru, Steve Delk, Jameer Williams, DBXJ, Madam Nudish. That one's fucking with me. It's That Nerd James, Elijah Burns, Chugger22, Triple, Frosty Feet 492, Ballsack Teabagger, Zach Shepard, Holmes, Denzalo, D's Nuts, Just a Fish, Randy Barrage, John Woodruff, Tunable Power, Daniel, Captain N, Jeff Bergeron, Zonko 504, Titan 420 Squints, Johnny from Virginia, Wolf Magic 21, Doogie, Andy Hudson, Wolfgang, Darren, Mercury 869, G9PSX, Mike Maloney, Ryan Kinchin, Zane Donovan, Morgan A-Town, Nathan Trombley, Aaron Lawson, Scott Brooks, No One Cares, Dave Thompson, Angry Ticks, Little Bunny Fufu 89, Fraser Burns, Jordan, Andrew Wright, Chris Fleury, Doug Dorn, Slick Rick, Dan of DNA Gaming, Dave McGee, James Clark, The Keegs, Andre Sharonic, Joe Buck, and Makeshift Mallow Magic Money. Thank you all so much for the support, everybody. Talk to you on the next one. Cheers. Yeah, cheers. That'll do it. See ya.